Anthony Volpe fell, and with him, for a few seconds, the breath of thousands of Yankees fans fell too. It was in the 8th inning, at the most delicate moment of the game against the Rays. Christopher Morel hit a ground ball to the infield, and Volpe, as always, went for the heroic play, a dive to the left, a full body stretch. But this time, the defense didn't end in applause. It ended with Volpe on the ground, his cap rolling, his glasses askew, his face pressed against the grass, his right hand clutching his left shoulder. Silence at Yankee Stadium. Silence that screamed. Aaron Boone ran. Tim Lentic, the athletic trainer, did too. Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger knelt beside the shortstop. It was as if time had stopped. 3 minutes of tension in the heart of the Bronx. And even though Volpe stayed on the field, the question lingered in the air. What really happened there? This scene might seem like just another fall in baseball, but for the Yankees in 2025, it's not just that. It's a symbol of how everything that could go off track is going off track. And before we dive into the behind the scenes of this injury and the silent chaos unfolding in the locker room, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Here, you don't just get the headline. You get to step into the game with us. Here, we live baseball with soul, with analysis, and with the coldness that the front office often hides. Anthony Volpe turned 24 this week. And unlike other young Yankees prospects who succumbed to the weight of the jersey, Volpe has stood strong, not with absurd numbers. It's true, but with consistency and reliability. A .233 batting average, 5 home runs, 19 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases. Cold numbers? Maybe. But in the heat of the games, these are numbers that sustain a battered defense. Because, let's be honest, the Bronx is in a silent crisis. Garrett Cole is out. Jazz Chisholm Jr. too. DJ LeMahieu and Luis Gil? Injured. Each one represents a pillar of this team. And now, it seems the next to fall is Volpe. The X-rays came back negative. That's a relief. But it doesn't end the case. Volpe himself said, "I've never felt something like this. It was sharp, strange. The tests were fine, but the feeling didn't go away." This, in the world of sports medicine, is the type of statement that sets off alarms. It could be something muscular. It could be an inflammation invisible to the X-ray. It could just be the beginning of something bigger. And that's why the doubt remains. Will he play tomorrow? Will he need an MRI? The answer doesn't exist yet. But behind the scenes, the Yankees are already starting to prepare. The impact of Volpe's fall was immediate. In the same inning, Chandler Simpson stole second base. Brandon Lowe got a walk. The Rays, with boldness, tried and succeeded in a double steal. There were 6 stolen bases in the game. A clear demonstration that the Yankees' defense, perhaps affected by the tension or the absence of leadership in the infield, was vulnerable. After that, Curtis Mead hit a single to left, driving in the tying run. And Jose Caballero capped it off with a grounder that passed right by Volpe, who still tried to recover but couldn't. It was the go-ahead run. It was confirmation that, even on the field, something wasn't right. Aaron Boone defended his player. He said Volpe was moving well, that the strength was normal. But Boone knows, as we all do, that there's a difference between being physically cleared and being ready to continue at a high level. Now, let's talk about the behind the scenes. The Yankees, right now, are facing what analysts call a depth crisis. When you look at the bench, there's no shortstop ready to take over defensively with the same confidence. Is Oswaldo Cabrera an option? Yes, but he's been inconsistent. Could LeMahieu return and reorganize the infield? Maybe, but he's still not 100%. And calling someone up from AAA would require taking a piece away from development, perhaps before their time. The most feared scenario? A 2-week absence for Volpe. That would force the Yankees to look for someone on the market. And there are names available, veterans with experience, but also with their own risks, physical, financial, and adjusting to the New York locker room. The question is, how far will the front office's patience go? They know the calendar doesn't wait, and every loss weighs heavily. Every defensive error amplifies the pressure. And with Volpe's injury, what's at stake is not just the shortstop position. It's the mental state of a team that has already been to war physically too many times this year. And the lingering question is, should the Yankees insist on playing Volpe, even if he's not 100%, or hold him out for precaution and risk more immediate losses? Comment below. What would you do if you were Aaron Boone or Brian Cashman? Would you keep betting on the youth on the field, or pull the trigger on Plan B right now? What if I told you that the New York Yankees might be about to make the boldest move of the summer? An unexpected return, a familiar name, and the chance to rewrite the fate of the starting rotation. Former Cardinal and current Marlins star Sandy Alcántara could be heading to the Bronx, and the clock is ticking with the trade deadline fast approaching. The question everyone is asking now is, will the Yankees risk it all to bring the 2022 Cy Young winner back to form, or will they let this train pass and wait for another opportunity? The Yankees know the weight that the pinstripe jersey carries. Since the days of Babe Ruth, each generation has tried to keep the legend of the pinstripes alive. The team from a city that never sleeps has always been synonymous with big names, big moments, and above all, big trades. In 2009, with Sabathia, Petit, and company, New York raised its last World Series trophy. Since then, there have been frustrations, injuries, broken promises, and long autumns watching from the stands. Even with stars like Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole, the team has yet to return to the top. Each season is a new attempt, a new hope, but also a new disappointment when the playoffs end earlier than expected. Garrett Cole, the big name in the Yankees rotation in recent years, represents everything the team hoped for this triumphant return. But now, an injury has taken him out of the 2025 season. Cole's absence is a heavy blow, and as we all know, without a dominant rotation, the chances of success in October become even more distant. That's where Sandy Alcántara comes in. Alcántara, 29, is a familiar name to baseball fans. Hailing from the Dominican Republic, he jumped into the spotlight in 2022 when he won the National League Cy Young Award, becoming one of MLB's brightest prospects. With the Marlins, he established himself as one of the most reliable pitchers, capable of dominating top lineups with his fastball and sharp curve. The future looked bright for Alcántara, who was seen as one of the best young pitchers in the league. But as baseball has shown us repeatedly, the game can change in an instant. In 2024, Alcántara faced the harsh reality of Tommy John surgery, an injury that kept him out for the entire season. Now, in 2025, Alcántara is back, but the comeback has been difficult. His ERA of 8.31 in the first 6 games of 2025 clearly shows he is still recovering. The time away and the limitations from his injury have made his return more complicated than many expected. Still, Alcántara's talent is undeniable. The question is, will he regain his Cy Young form before the trade deadline in July? And if so, will the Yankees take a gamble on him? The Bleacher Report brought this possibility to light. According to inside sources, the Yankees are one of the teams most interested in bringing Alcántara to the Bronx. The logic is simple. Without Cole, New York needs another ace to support Max Fried, who joined the team last offseason. The team's rotation might be good, but without a big name to follow Fried, it's hard to imagine him overcoming major playoff contenders like the Astros and the Braves. But what about the Marlins? They're not desperate to trade Alcántara. After all, he still has a relatively cheap contract with a $21 million option for 2027. He could fully recover and return to being the ace of Miami's rotation. However, Peter Bendix's team is in rebuilding mode, and if Alcantara shows signs that he won't recover his old form, he could become a valuable asset on the trade market, especially if the Marlins decide to rebuild with a new generation of talent. Miami's dilemma is exactly that. Keep the player and wait for his full return, or part with him while they can still get something substantial in exchange. Here's where the Yankees strategy comes in. They know that an elite pitcher like Alcántara could be exactly what they need to propel their team toward the playoffs and, perhaps, a new World Series. The question hanging in the air is, will they risk it all on this gamble? And more. Is it worth taking such a risk for a player who, although he has an outstanding history, is coming off a serious injury and has shown difficulties returning to his best level? And what if they decide that the risk isn't worth it? The market will be full of other pitchers, but no one has Alcantara's pedigree. Other teams, like the Chicago Cubs, have also shown interest, but the Yankees carry the weight of history and the urgency of victory. Sandy could be the missing piece that transforms a team from a contender to a true favorite, but that will depend on his recovery and the next few months of his season. Now, imagine the scenarios. If Alcantara returns to Cy Young form and joins Fried, the Yankees would have a rotation capable of facing any lineup in October. It would be an instant leap from contender to favorite. They could finally reach the goal of returning to the World Series after so many years of failed attempts. But what if he doesn't return to what he once was? Would New York risk valuable prospects for uncertainty? It could be another episode in the recent history of questionable decisions, like we've seen with other trades and bets that didn't pay off. The weight of this decision is not small, and it could shape the future of the team for years to come. And besides that, Alcantara brings a powerful narrative with him. He began his career with the St. Louis Cardinals, a team known for trading talented pitchers and, as was the case with Sandy, turning them into stars. The cycle he began with the Cardinals could now be closed with a trade to the Yankees. Just imagine the return of a former Cardinal who, once again, will become the most important name in the rotation of a legendary team. What about you? Would you risk it all for Sandy Alcantara? Or would you wait for more signs that he's ready to return to being the ace he once was? Drop your opinion in the comments. Do you think the risk is worth it? And if the Yankees don't make this trade, who do you think should be the next big addition to the rotation? Don't forget to hit the like button if you're excited about the possibility of this trade, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any hot updates on the MLB trade market. In the next video, we'll talk about another blockbuster name that could be the next to be traded, because when the market heats up, the Bronx catches fire. Despite still playing at a high level, represents a short-term